that what I'm teaching you is something you already know. I'm just teaching you maybe how to use the words that you think you don't know, or like it's in a different color scheme or whatever it is, but it's the same things you already know and you already do.
You already know, that's another thing. I mean, I don't remember which episode it was. I think it was a part of the Surviving It series where I said to a guy, listen, you already know this, As well, I'm not telling you anything new. What you're probably getting now is some confirmation of something that you already know. I can't teach anything, really. I create a space and I hope that learning happens in this space. You're touching on a big point right there. But it's the same thing we were talking about also on Tuesday, right? And especially with adults, children will probably take something new as a rule, but most adults, when they are taking part in learning, they just want validation, know, which is a confirmation, building on things that they already know. Yeah, man, that's a small epiphany right there. Yeah, is that a contradiction in terms?
Nah.
Hello everyone, my name is iAntonio Paddison, host and producer of the English Coach podcast, Living the Language. And today, we are doing a first of its kind. For this episode 78 of the English Coach podcast, Living the Language, on this, the 20th of December, 2022. It's a collection of 7 interludes. The first of them, however, though recorded in 2020, had never been released, so it's actually a first. And coincidentally, for those of you who don't know it yet, the sister episode or the sister show to this podcast called Life is Feeling Counting the Ways, over there I also did a first of its kind episode. So if you're interested, you can always head on over and check that out. It's at lifeisfeeling.com or lifeisfeeling.de. That will take you directly to Spotify. The interludes feature the following past show guests: Abba Lang, Philip Clark, David Sapong, Gary Lim, Andy Beck, Sasha Bondera, and last but by no means least, Leontes Henriquez. Links to all the original episodes can be found in the show notes. I do hope you enjoy it. Funk soul brother from Berlin, accomplished performing artist and father of one, as far as I know, Abba Lang, talking about the joys of teaching and the parallels with stage performance. Our conversation on the aforementioned topics is directly followed by a freestyle improvisation, so to speak, recorded in studio. And, it's one that I'm really proud of. For those of you who have been listening to the show for a while, you might be familiar with it, but I am very happy to publish it for you again. Now, if you're interested also in watching 2 separate dance performances to the same piece, so to speak, do feel free to visit the show notes page for this episode at www.englishcoachpodcast.com. Abba, I've known you for a few years, yeah?
That's true.
I've known you for many years, and I'm just going to get straight into this. I feel really honored to have you here because I recognize you as an artist. You
Thanks.
have... yes, man. I recognize you as an artist since I first met you. Those days when we used to play chess, at Junction Bar. Remember those days? Yeah.
With Richie?
Yes, man. With Richie and lovely Sandra and Mike.
Yeah, Mike as well. Yeah.
Yes, man. I remember those days. We called it chess for fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember? Yes, man. I remember. And since those days, I've wanted to work with you. I have tried before. We have tried before, and unfortunately, that didn't work out the way I wanted at the time, because priorities change, things change in life, and so on. But you are one of the souls that has stuck around, and that means something. So, as we're here today, I feel really honored to have you in studio, and I'm anxious to see what you're going to bring to this, what I call the poetry series of the English Coach podcast.
Mm-hmm.
King, man.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. All right, in keeping with tradition, we're just going to touch on, it is the poetry series. Yeah, this is about the flow of language, the rhythm of language, the importance of intonation and all of that. We are taking a free space to be a little more creative. This is where I always tell my students that I invite them to, to dance with the language, right? This is what it's about. It's not about formality. It is about authenticity and developing a feel and a flow for using the second language as a first. Yes, that's what we want to do, right? So today, Abba, again, in keeping with tradition, I know that at some point you were an English teacher in, where was it? In Malta, no?
Yes, that is correct. So when I was at university in Malta, basically my student job was teaching English. So it was like mostly was during like this when we were on holidays. So when we were actually deep in the semesters and working, then it was scaled back. But then of course like when it like summer hit, then it was like 3 months off, and that's pretty much when I used to do teaching in the language school.
English training, yeah. I mean, for me, Abba, English training remains a source. As I'm working as an English trainer now, English coach, and also as a photographer. That is because I have a need to be in connection with people. I love people. I love to see people blossom, see people come into their own. And that was one of my motivations to go into training as a practice. Was that the same way with you in Malta?
I mean, I would say the same. It's true. I mean, it was for me also kind of like a lifestyle thing, because it was like when you also think about like the cliche student job, you kind of like tend to, I don't know if you look at the movies, you tend to see like flipping burgers or working at the post office or something like that. But for me, like the teaching English thing was a way to like actually engage. Like also I was getting something from it. It was not like I was just turning in to do any old job, but it was like there was a feeling of accomplishment that you could like teach some people, and over time you could see them like improve and learn something new. So that was like, for me, that was really the best thing about it, was like I felt like I was contributing to someone's betterment, and that's what I loved about it the most. And it just spoke to me, like already when I thought about like what I could do, like when that option came about, because I realized quickly that Malta is actually one of the big centers for EFL, English as a foreign language. And yeah, I mean, I just loved it. I was mostly teaching, let's say, youngsters, teenagers, but also, of course, adults too. But yeah, it was really great, like over time, like, you get them in the class. And it was like also to be able to teach them, but also to engage them and also be entertaining at the same time, bring all those things together. Yeah, it was a great time, actually.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love it. I love it. I recognize all of that. I've heard about Malta. For me, it's some kind of dream place. In German said a dream art. Yes, I've never been there. I only have imaginations of this place. But a lot of my clients sometimes go there to experience immersion into the language.
Yeah.
And I don't know, one of these days, maybe I will go there. But, you touched on something right there immediately that I want to talk about, and that is the entertainment element of learning a language. You have to engage people.
Yeah.
And I mean, why? Why does it have to be dry all the time?
Exactly.
Yeah. Why, really? I mean, I always say to people, if you're learning a language to use it, to talk to people, then what should you do? You talk to people.
Yeah.
Right. And in doing that, you have to do that sometimes with feeling, engagement, emotion. And the enjoyment aspect is just not to be ignored. Yeah.
I mean, it's a performative thing almost. Like the same way, like when I look at it, like, you're also performing at a concert as well. It's like, you could just plainly go there and just like recite your words like plainly and not really, but then the show's not as impactful as if you can really like emote, go into the emotions and the feelings and transport them over. So there is a very performative thing where you like, if you're going to engage someone, yeah, it's also a little bit like theater in a way, like you're theatrical. I don't know exactly how might sound alien for some people to say, like, you're teaching English and it's kind of like similar to performing in the amphitheater in front of thousands. But I mean, there are certain techniques, just like how like on stage, they might be like, you're going to whisper, but it's going to be loud enough that everyone in the back can hear. And I think teaching English is, analogy-wise, is also kind of like similar. And there are times you have to, quote-unquote, like whisper, but in a way that everyone's going to get what you're saying. So it's like you get that same material for the day that you planned out, but also at the same time you want it to come across to your students. I mean, of course, you have to know what level they're at, but that happens before they get into the course.
Yes. Well, put it this way, I mean, if they are feeling what it is you're doing, if they have an understanding of what you're doing, coming into the performance, then they will get it. And that's the most important thing. But, before you move on, you touched on 3 things there that I want to jump on. The first one was the idea of the stage aspect. I work a lot with trainers of dance and people who are, real professionals in the field. When I tell people that I'm a dance photographer, they think that I go to clubs and try to sell photos. That's not what I mean. I photograph staged events, or I take dancers in studio who need to build their PR profile or something like that. But anyway, that's what we're talking about. You touched on the aspect of the stage. You touched on the performance aspect, and you touched on the idea of connecting by throwing your voice into the room. All of these things are familiar to me. Yeah. When I'm doing a podcast, for example, I'm here looking at you right now. But who I'm really talking to, who I'm throwing my voice at, is Plastizia. You see her over there? She's my mannequin. She helps me with photography. She lets me do pretty much everything, all lighting patterns that I want. She never complains. And, I am ever grateful, for her contribution to my photography practice. I mean, without her, I don't think I would ever have become the photographer that I am today. So, I mean, while I'm here talking to you, I am throwing my voice in Plastizia's direction. And that's how I learn. I've learned with her help. I've learned lighting, butterfly lighting, beauty lighting, as in other words. I've learned paramount lighting. So it's a variety of beauty lighting I've learned, split lighting, I've learned Rembrandt lighting, I've learned sport lighting, I've learned 3-point lighting, all of that. And all of these things that Plastizia, I have to pronounce her name properly. I don't want to offend her. But all of these things that I've learned, I can apply this to my job as a photographer. And then throwing your voice, that's the first thing. The idea of the stage, getting over stage fright. A friend of mine recently, she is called Frau Dr. Jennifer Reinecke, actually. She just put it really short and said, well, I think I sound natural enough. Yeah. And I put a pause after that, a pregnant pause, because that's a key point. Natural enough, right? Because she has used the stage to get over the stage. And that's the same thing I tell to my people all the time. You want to learn the language to talk to people, then talk to people, right? Now, the last thing, I'm paying attention to what I'm not just here not listening to the things you say, Abba, yeah? The last thing that you said was something about, and I actually forgot.
No, I'm also not sure what I forgot. I mean, last thing I remember was the performative aspect of it. Spray stage whisper, something.
Well, okay. I know. Shit. Fuck, I can't believe it happened. All right.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Look at that red right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. But, quite honestly, we've spoken about the stage aspect. We've spoken about the throwing the voice. And that brings me to the idea of how to get that kind of connection. The flow of the language. How do you get people into the feeling, into that space of wanting to understand what it is you're saying? And how are you going to do that without like a kind of charisma? Yes? And that is why, as well, I spoke to you. And that is why, I've invited you today as well to kind of give me some insight into exactly that aspect, the rhythm of language.
I remember like when I started the whole teaching English, one of the things that like helped me the most when I was sort of doing the teacher training course was the teacher was saying something that like you should be able to teach the language to people who don't know even a word of the language. Obviously, there's levels to it, from beginners to advanced and intermediate and whatsoever. But there was just like a way it made me like, so she kind of gave a mock lesson to us students, which was like, she basically like this is how you can teach a beginner's course in English in a way that someone who doesn't speak the language can follow. And that's what tied into the whole performative aspect of it, because it's like, let me try to think of the best way to say it. But there's like some people who may not, for example, like let's say they may not speak English, but they know those concepts and themes that you're talking about. Like everyone knows how to go to a shop or how to go to the bank, go to school. These are all universal things that we all do. And the performative aspect is that you should be able to speak with a Chinese person or an Indian person or a Greek person, and they can recognize these things in their lives. And you're just substituting the words that they would normally use to think of these things with the language that they're learning, English in this case. And I think for me, that was like kind of like the way in that I found like, okay, it's performative, not in the sense that I'm like, I'm going to say these words like, in a funny way just to catch them. But they're aspects almost like techniques that a mime would use to convey a story without any words, like with through body language and through certain pictures and themes. And I think that was kind of like the way kind of like I approached it when I think about like how I'm going to do it in a performative way. I don't know if that answers the question or if I was in the right way.
To be honest, I mean, I lost myself a minute ago, and that's probably because, we had a glass of wine before we started today.
Two.
Oh, come on.
Can
man.
we
You
have
don't
the
tell
third?
everybody.
Can
Come
we
on, you're
have a
talking about
third?
the small glasses. Anyway, Avo, this is just fantastic. If I understand you correctly, I mean, so yesterday I was speaking to, no, it was yesterday. No, it was actually on Tuesday. I was talking to a lady, and this lady was a very esteemed guest of mine. She was an officer, a Marine in Germany, and she's now working as a coach. And I said to her that the same wisdom presents itself in different ways all the time, and that is not a mark of my cynicism. It is actually my optimism, saying that the same good things will always come back in different ways. Now, you have described how you see the performative aspect, yes, and and you're a performer, you're a stage performer, you are a professional in that field. I also take a stage, but my stage is a little different. What I pulled from what you said was that you focus on the meaning, yes, first of all, which is also something that I do, and then you try to articulate that meaning, accompanied by a certain, vocabulary set or grammar set, and you give an explanation of how this vocabulary or grammar set helps to convey that meaning that the participant already knows. Is that somehow similar or
correct? They know everything already.
Exactly.
You are just kind of like bringing it out of them and making them kind of like see that what I'm teaching you is something you already know. I'm just teaching you maybe how to use the words that you think you don't know, or like it's in a different color scheme or whatever it is, but it's the same things you already know and you already do.
You already know, that's another thing. And I mean, I don't remember which episode it was. I think it was a part of the Surviving It series where I said to a guy, listen, you already know this, As well, I'm not telling you anything new. What you're probably getting now is some confirmation of something that you already know. I can't teach anything, really. I create a space, and I hope that learning happens in this space. You're touching on a big point right there. About it's the same thing we were talking about also on Tuesday, right? And especially with adults, children will probably take something new as a rule, but most adults, when they are taking part in learning, they just want validation, which is a confirmation, building on things that they already know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a small epiphany right there. Yeah, is that a contradiction in terms?
Nah.
All right, well, you know what, Awa? Also, I have sent to you something that I wanted you to kind of, freestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, freestyle is a key word. I don't know what people are going to think of when they hear the word freestyle, but a good friend of mine in Jamaica, he is, as well, I've known this guy for ages. And, he's also trying his thing in Jamaica right now. And, I'm ever grateful to him as well, because, he's also kind of a performer, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And he is working a lot now in business. He's offering business services for people, helping to train people with website optimization, creating ads, and how to sell properly, how to write an ad, how to engage online using Instagram and Facebook and all of that. A lot of people are doing that. A lot of people selling funnels online right now, and it kind of upsets me. But this guy is authentic. He's really trying. I've known him for a while, and he's also a musician and a developer. Yes, and this guy, I've always had a thing for developers, computer people. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's maybe a kind of a love-fear kind of thing. I don't know. I have a thing for developers. And this guy's also a developer. And not that I have a thing for guys. Well, I do have a thing for this guy. But, it's not that kind of thing. And
Still a thing, though.
He's still... Well, Anyway, this guy Easy is my friend. And his Instagram, you can check it out as well. It's OMG, oh my God, business sales coach from Jamaica. OMG business sales coach. And he was nice enough. He's not so much in the business, the music thing right now anymore. But I said, Easy, I'm doing a poetry series. I want to put some poetry on some wicked rhythm. I want to put some Russian, I want to put some German, I want to put some English, and I want to put some Jamaican on this rhythm. I want to put some dances on this rhythm. And I said, Easy, do you have a rhythm for me? And he said, yes, man, I have a rhythm. It's very metal, it's very technical, it's very techno. Yes, but it still has a splash of sunshine from Jamaica. And, I sent this rhythm to you in the hope that you would feel something. And you would show us how you work with the melody of language. Right. So, I'm just gonna just put it on pretty soon. Yeah. And I'm just gonna give you the floor. Right. And I know you're a musician. You're a performer. So hip hop is your genre. Tell me about your genre, Abba.
Yeah, I would say hip hop. At the core, it's basically based off inspired by things like George Clinton, Parliament, Funkadelic, James Brown, Rick James, and all of that. That basically birthed hip hop because those were basically the samples people were using. But otherwise, I'd say kind of like I'm a funk soul brother who raps, to put it that way.
Funk soul brother who raps. I like that. It sounds as good. That sounds almost as good as the fact when I ask you what is your artist name, you say, well, my artist name is my name. And I'm like, so you were born with an artist name, Abelang? Yes. When I hear Abelang, yeah, I'm like, that's like so cool, And you were just born with it. Yes, you didn't have to think about one.
Back in the days when I first started rapping, I did kind of have a rap name. Called myself Lang Man, a.k.a. Linguistics, a.k.a. Langwizzle, And then it was the missing link. But then at the end, I came to Germany and I was like, okay, well, Abba Lang sounds as musical as you can get because it's Abba the band that everyone knows. There's also Lang Lang, the concert pianist from Hong Kong, Katie Lang, the singer from Canada, Johnny Lang, the blues guitarist. So already Abba Lang is kind of was musical enough. And of course in Germany there's also the extra wordplay of I always like to say ich bin kurz aber lang, which means I'm short but long.
It's funny, I like that one, Lang Lang, because I have a little special massage oil over there on my shelf. And when I bought it, the lady said to me, well, this oil is very special. It's called Lang Lang, and it's an aphrodisiac. And I'm like, you what? It's Afro what? Yeah. Do you know the oil? It's called Lang Lang. It's right there. It's right over there. I can bring it to you if you want.
Yeah. I have to see this.
Okay. All right. So that's your genre, and I know you perform a lot. What is it called? Urban. Tell me about.
Oh, you mean the jam session at Beer House Urban?
Yes, man.
Yeah, so that's like once a month, like every first Saturday of the month. Of course, since we had the lockdown, everything has been locked down. But it's like once a month, I would get together with the band and would have like the drummer, guitarist, bass player, keyboard artist. Yeah, and the DJ would be scratching sometimes, and would basically play like kind of like you can, if a lot of you guys out there, if you maybe know the Roots, which is like, you know, they're a band, but they're also hip hop and playing beats, or as my man Tikogo would say, beats on the ende. And that's what we kind of do. We play like a lot of like beats on the ende, and we'll be rapping, and then people on the stage are also welcome to jump on and spit a little something or sing something. Yeah, and that's what we do with the band.
Beats on the end. I love that, man.
I mean, obviously, technically, I can't use the term beats on the end because that's Tikogo's thing, but the concept, you know what I mean.
Okay. Understand. All right. Kingman, as I said, you know, you're going to hear my Jamaican swang coming in every now and then because, you know, I'm in the vibe right now. So, you know, I'm going to
press play.
Okay,
so people out there, this is kind of like, it's a world premiere. You basically sent this beat. I heard it one time. We're just going to have to freestyle something, I guess it goes with the flow of language.
Yes, man. Definitely.
It's definitely Berlin ready. The club's gonna love this. Here we go. Abalang. Easy. Easy on a Sunday morning, I'm saying. It's actually a Sunday afternoon, my bad. Back on my grind, back on my grizzly. Abalang on the mic, you know I get busy. So many shit go around the world. I'm just thinking about my girl and my son, and the sun that wakes up in the morning, get me up in the dawning when I'm yawning. But right now I'm thinking of performing, just get it on the microphone. And when I'm coming through, you know I'm straight boning, getting 5 mics, 5 quintuplets on this. On the microphone I get tripped with this, I get ripped with this. Gonna spit the shit when come through, win the championship. I'm Real like Madrid. I'm back once again for the renegade master. Better think faster, master blaster. Cops gonna get you if you don't run faster. I wanna smoke like a rasta, do my shit, maybe get food, get brolic, eat that pasta. Everything's all good for the pastor. Looking up at the ceiling, for real dog, where's our ceiling? Tell me what a black light's worth. A bottle of juice, no excuse, the truth hurts. R.I.P. to Tupac, he done said it like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Shit did the same thing 30 years ago. Go take it back to Malcolm and the talcum powder. Everywhere I look, they just want clam chowder. I'm standing over here prouder, that's why I got my fist up, tip louder. Let these people real know what it's all about though. Look around the world, Bob said it. So much trouble in the world. So much trouble in the world. Everywhere I look around, people wanna get down. So much trouble. So much weight on these shoulders of mine. On these shoulders of mine. Everywhere when I look, I'm trying to have a good time. But it's kinda crazy. I could have the best time in my life. But what about the next man? The next man, who's the X-man? The next man is me. Cause I'm you and you are me, we are all the same in this unity, in this whole world. 7 billion people's one little dream, humankind with the same human beings. Do you bleed blue, do you bleed red? Do you bleed blue, do you bleed red? People all crazy about Illuminati. I'm just looking around, looking at my shawty, looking at my people, looking at my family. What's going on? I don't need a Grammy, I just need to feed the fucking people. I'm just looking at the world and the evil that's taking over, trying to get the sequel, the next world. 1984, it seems that it's coming back again, kicking your door like Biggie. Notorious, I'm a warrior, coming through over here, man, I'm scarier. Paranoia, got me stuck, thinking what I can't do. I'm a wild I'm a young buck, trying to do my thing, living this life out of luck, and I'm trying to do my thing. Chin check, on the microphone, yeah, we've been dead, we've been wet. On the microphone, yeah, you know that we've been set to take over. But every time it's a motherfucking game, and I think it's fucking game over. They try to get us down, and trying to get us frowns. But we're some motherfucking kings, and we need fucking crowns. Take it over, my man Easy from Jamaica. He gon' take her, he gon' get the beat. I'm a baker, I'ma get the pie, get real high, do my thing, no supply, and it's no lie. And right now on the Sunday morning in July, freestyling over there on the radio. Let them know that we radioactive. Antonio, here we go, yo, for Antonio. I belong in Antonio. Easy, what up? What's going on, everybody? Berlin music. I thought you never heard Jamaican techno in your life. Well, now you did. Yeah. You know, it's everything just like freestyle. You know what I mean? Maybe I should have listened to the beat before we started the podcast, but you know, maybe it's better this way. Just just play the beat and just do it.
The next interlude for today features Professor Dr. David Sapong, and it articulates true-to-life instances of microstoria and its relevance in our lives. David is a past study colleague of mine, and he was our featured guest in episode 65. Director of Arts and Culture at the esteemed University of Technology, Jamaica, my first university, and fellow podcaster Philip Clark then takes the stage. Philip was guest on episodes 19, 50, and 52, and I was also a guest on his podcast that I would also invite you to check out for yourself at Philip Clark's Lights, Camera, Real Life, episode 8, published on the 5th of November and also available on Spotify. Of course, the links you will find also in the show notes.
Because with and organizations and the kind of stuff we teach in our business schools and preach, it's all about value creation, value capture. It's all about being an entrepreneur and making money. We forget about the little people elsewhere, and it's quite interesting. Sometimes when we are told some of these little stories, that is the only time you start to reflect. So, as in seeing going to India or going to Ghana or in Latin America, where you see all these women on the rubbish dump collecting bottles and stuff going to sell. And you think, oh, look at them, of course, they are poor, going to sell these bottles. But at no point will you ever think, oh, come on, hold on. These people are involved in some entrepreneurship. The only difference is that they are barefoot entrepreneurs. They have very little resources. But the idea of opportunity recognition in entrepreneurship that we teach every day is being played out there. The idea of effectuation is being played out there. The idea of creating and capturing value. So they create value, they collect this rubbish, they clean them or whatever, they sell it on, they capture value, they make money. And you will be surprised that some of these people have been selling this plastic and managed to keep their children in school. Or they don't need to rely on other people. They will put at least 2 square meals, on the table for their kids. And that kid would have gone to become the CEO of a big organization the next day in India or something. So is there something that we could learn from these little people? And until we come to realize that they are also entrepreneurs, that compassion and stuff that we're supposed to extend to them, we don't even, think of it because we don't see them as entrepreneurs. Maybe there's opportunity to just go and talk to them and encourage them and show them some basic bookkeeping practices that will help them, to make a better life out of those plastic bottles. But until we come to realize, until we make people know that these people are also entrepreneurs, they will always be just treated as rapid stamp people. But they also have a role they play in the organization, isn't it? It's like the hospital. Where's the hospitals where nobody talks about the cleanliness? This COVID time, everybody was all about the nurses, the doctors in the UK were clapping for NHS workers. Nobody's talking about the cleanliness. But the reality is the fundamental fight against COVID was organized around cleaning and wiping. And these people were the ones wiping the surgical stuff, all those people in the ICU, the clothing, all the beds, linens and all. They are washing them. They are making their meals in the kitchens,
Scrubbing the walls and ceilings, yeah?
scrubbing the walls, which is the fundamental,
Mm-hmm.
so fundamental to the
Yes.
fight against COVID. And here we
Yes.
are. You think about it. If all these cleaners were to go on strike for even 2 days, what would happen? Meanwhile,
What if all minorities went on strike for 2 days?
exactly.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
I had a dream about that one night, you know.
meanwhile, when in the UK we're talking about
Help me to get there, and I help you to get there. And this is what happened. We just gave them the goal and say, okay, this is where I want to be. And these people, educated people and so on, they decided how they want to do it.
I can totally relate to what you just said, Ian, because that is exactly what I do in coaching. In coaching, I do not tell them what I want them to know. I ask them to explore with me where is you think are your weaknesses, and you identify those, and then you tell me what is it you want to look like by the end of this process. What is it that you want to become like? And what my job is to get them to unearth all of those qualities that they actually have that they probably didn't think they have, so that they can become the best performer or best speaker that there is. I said to them, I don't want you to sound like X, I don't want you to sound like Y. I want you to sound like yourself, but I want you to be more confident doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
And that has worked for you. This is an approach that you take all the time.
oh yes, oh yes. Because you see, for me, when it comes on to performance and how you perform, it comes with style, it comes with personality, it comes with enthusiasm that you alone, depict. And then it also comes with a certain kind of a persona as well. I mean, you have to assume a particular character, and not everybody has the ability or the flexibility or the range to do certain things. So I have to work with what I have in front of me to make them as good as they can become. Because not everybody can be a Michael Jackson, you know. And I've always maintained that there are certain things that you naturally have. I try to focus on the person's strengths rather than the person's weaknesses. I think a lot of times we teach that we can, if we work hard at our weaknesses, we can overcome. That is one philosophy, but I'm more interested in our strengths, capitalizing on those. I think we need to focus more on building our strengths so that we can be good or be the best at what we do. I think a lot of times we compare ourselves with each other and we say, okay, that he's better in that area than me, and I want to be that good. But that is fine. But when we ignore our own strengths, I think we're shortchanging ourselves. So my role as a coach is that I get people to find out what their strengths are. You have to be conscious of your weaknesses, but you have to know how to manage them. But you improve on your strengths, and your strengths, for me, my strengths are what take me to where I need to be. My strengths are what make my purpose clear.
Gary Lim featured in episode 40, where he spoke to me, as a past learner, someone with whom I had the privilege of working. And he spoke in his episode on the things that helped him as a learner of English as a second language. Now, again, this is just an interlude from a past episode, and you're always free to check out the whole episode if you like. Directly afterwards, however, author, musician, and esteemed guest, many times over, Andy Beck, in his excerpt, we talk a little bit about Bob Marley. And, the inclusiveness of the man, the gift and, why he managed to inspire so many people during his time, this musical legend. We also talk about his adult learning experience. Andy Beck was guest on episode 39 and episode 32. He was also the creator of the jingle that you're gonna hear right about now. You're a competent speaker. Yeah, so I can tell you that. As you will have absolutely no problems as long as you frame yourself properly. As I mean, I don't think you pretend to be a native speaker, and you should never do that. Yeah, why? Most native speakers are lazy. They don't want to learn any other language. Yeah. So you shouldn't pretend and ever. And I think in any job situation, you will not have a problem. Yes. Anybody who tries to make your competence a problem, they're trying to sell you something. Just take my words for it. Yeah. So just keep on keeping on. Yes. You're doing well. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about though is your experience with learning. What has worked for you, in terms of things so what I had here was like your hobbies, music, video, dating, gaming, yes,
Mhm.
vacation, art. I don't know. What is it that helped
Ähm,
you?
so was mir hilft to be a better English speaker.
Yeah.
I try to use my games that I play in English, or at least have a subtitle for it. Yeah, I'm
Mm.
my series I'm watching. Yeah, like I don't know if I can say some series here, but I try to watch them in English with
Mm-hmm.
maybe turn on the German subtitle. I know what they are talking about, but to make
Yes.
sure that what I'm hearing is correct, I turn on the subtitle. Or
Good.
maybe I'm trying to talk to another person in English. I have some communities where I talk with people or write with people. They are from all over the world, right? They are from America, Japan, Chinese people, African, everywhere. They are from everywhere. And we are talking about serious gaming, maybe something what's going on in the world with the whole COVID stories and such, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
one. I talked to him lately. Um, he got infected with COVID-19, and
Oh.
he is talking to me because he is in Dubai at the moment working, but his home was somewhere in the Philippines.
Mm.
So, and
Okay.
he is stuck there right now. So he is talking to me. What can I do? I try to help him. I try to calm him a bit, right? And even when my English is that I'm talk to him oder was ich mit ihm geredet habe, ist nicht das Beste gewesen. Ja, es hat ihm trotzdem ein bisschen geholfen, ein bisschen runterzukommen und mir aber trotzdem durch das Lesen ein bisschen
Mm-hmm.
geholfen. To be
Yeah.
a better English reader in that case. Okay. And then, of course, the one tip I really loved that tip is what you told in one of the podcasts is try to think in English.
Oh yeah.
I
That's a very
think
popular episode.
that's I think that's one of the best tips to be a better English speaker, reader, whatsoever. Is
Mm-hmm.
really you can do it even with Japanese. When you have some small vocabulary in Japanese, but you can talk to people, try to think in Japanese, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
As
Mm-hmm.
I really loved this advice. So
Oh
I only
man.
can repeat it over and over again. I try to think in English. Last time, last Friday, I went to
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
dentist, right? And on my way home, I thought in English what he had done to me to my tooth, right?
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
or when I'm on the train and I see
Mm-hmm.
some advertisement with these monitors,
Yeah.
S-Bahn. There are some
Mm-hmm.
some strange LCD monitors with all-time advertisement. Yeah,
Yes.
I watch them and I try to think about them in English, or I try to translate it into English, right?
Perfect.
And that
Perfect.
helps me a lot. Or using my phone, I lately do the had changed my phone.
Mm-hmm.
How do I call it in English? Ich habe die Sprache von meinem Handy ins Englische gestellt.
Yes, I understand the settings to
Yeah,
English, the language
settings to
settings.
English, right? So
Mhm,
if you want to adapt or to be a better English or any language speaker, try
mhm,
to use the language on a daily
mhm.
basis. Not
Yes.
everywhere in particular, but
Mhm,
in some places where you know I'm now gaming, I'm now
mhm,
reading, I'm now
mhm,
watching my shows,
mhm,
or
mhm.
so try
Yeah.
to implement that any in your daily routines or
Mhm.
whatsoever. And I think
Yes.
that's the key, yeah,
Yes. Yes.
to
Yes.
be a better English speaker, language in dem Ganzen. So, ne?
Yeah. And this is the advice you would give to other learners.
Yeah,
Yes?
100%.
Yeah. 100%.
Try to use
Well,
it on a daily basis somewhere.
Yeah, Bob Marley was, I think he was a pacifist. You know, he believed, One Love was the name of one of his songs, wasn't it? You know, and I mean,
yeah.
if that's not making a statement, what is? You know, he wasn't pro-violence. He would have fit in well, I think, in the year 2021 because he was about inclusion, he was about recognition of minorities and so on. He was a prophet of the 1970s, I think, a prophet of his day, and that's one reason I think why his music has remained as popular as it is, because people realised that he was, you know, pro peace and pro inclusion.
That is so true. The whole of Jamaica, I mean, that's not really the topic of the show, but or on our coat of arms, we say out of many, one people.
Yeah.
And when people ask me about the country, I always say to them, well, what makes the population of Jamaica is actually the mix of all these, well, for want of a better word, races,
Mm-hmm.
all these nationalities, all these different people from different backgrounds who have come together. I am myself also mixed somehow, I'm convinced. Don't ask me how.
Okay.
I've never had it checked, but almost most of the people in Jamaica, out of many, one people, means that it is a melting pot, and there are definitely good things that come out of that.
Yeah.
Any way you take it.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's no different with me. Whether you'd have to go back a bit further, I don't know. But according to my dad, who's done some research into our family tree, about 300 years ago, my family was based in Denmark, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, we were bakers, which is where the name Beck comes from. You know, very similar to the
Aha.
word, something like that. We might be descended from the Normans on my mum's side as well. But basically, we were wandering around Europe 300 years ago as well. So the fact that I grew up in Britain, that's just the result of that, I suppose.
Yeah, that's just a wonderful thing. I'm all for that. As I said, mixing faculties, backgrounds, and worldviews, as long as we are in a position to sometimes agree to disagree. That's
Yeah.
nice to be able to be in that place as well, and even to enter sometimes into conversation with people who have totally different worldviews.
Mm.
Right? Because once we can converse with each other, we can find out why and clear up some of the misconceptions as well. I learned that in Germany. Software developer and entrepreneur from the Ukraine, Sasha Bondera, shares with us some of the secrets to surviving working from home. Now, Sasha was our guest for episode 20. And I think it was in the autumn of 2019 when he said to me that I should stop planning this podcast and just start it. And that in retrospect, I'd be glad that I did. Now, here, today, and true to his words, I'm indeed happy that I did. Now, Sasha's interlude is significant for many reasons. I don't have to go into all the details of that right now. You can figure it out for yourself. But as you all know, I'm an independent podcaster. Self-sponsored also means that I'm not singing anyone's song here but my own. Now, throughout my life, I've been lucky enough to witness the rise of the internet and to remember the days when there was none. Now, media generally, and especially independent media as an ideal, is a pillar of any functional modern democracy. In this context, I feel as far from perfect in at least as much as the statement that the media is you is not true. So then, I put it to you, is it? Many things are illustrated in this interlude, and it still breaks my heart sometimes to see how many people have access to it and they don't really use it to share anything uplifting. No uplifting messages to help anyone, or to educate anyone, but on the contrary, mostly rubbish. Now, truth be told, I like a little pop too. But the privilege to be able to put out positive messages into the world is not one that's afforded to all. And I would implore everyone who has the means to do the same, while being mindful of all the people out there in this modern world who cannot. Now, following Sasha's interlude, we have Leontes, otherwise known as Mr. Henriquez, from episode 71, where he illustrates a method of measuring language learning progress within a larger dynamic system. I really hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, on with the show. I will put them together in a nice way that they can help people, to hit the ground running, as we say. Start with this really fast, and we know some of the things that work, right? So, but I do have 2 or 3 more questions for you. Some of us are struggling right now with, friends and family. I know you have a lovely daughter, Zoe. Is that how you pronounce her name? Yeah. She's at home with you. You're home with your partner and everything. How do you coordinate that now with working from home, with family? How do you stay in contact with friends?
Um, so this is challenging. I would not maybe share any tips, just experience, because I'm failing on this. Let's say I'm just a regular person on this, and definitely I wait for the evening hours to work. This works for me. I can work more on evening and early morning hours when my family is sleeping. So this is one tip. It's obvious, kind of. um, this works well. It's also when you work at home, what I experience is that you can focus. Actually, right now you can focus more on work because the responsibility that you feel that you was given a trust by the employer, for example, because you work from home, maybe because of the some environment things, but still you're working from home and your team expect that you will provide like maybe good productivity. You still will be productive, so you can focus more. This actually this works for me. I understand that I have to be more focused because I have less time, less silent time at home right now. I spend more time with the family, and I actually started enjoying this maybe on the third week. Like because it comes to you slowly, and you suddenly understand that well you're with your family, you see how your daughter is growing, and you see this every day and for a long hours. And initially I started to think well I can do this, I can do this, my daughter is moving me there, play again. And then I suddenly understand that oh that's not that bad.
How do you measure progress if it's not linear?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's also, one of the things that I've been discussing with a colleague over the past few weeks is how are we going to tell other teachers about this and make this practical so they can use it? Because teachers think in tests and teachers think in results and marks, and
Not all.
because we want to show progress, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We want to give 2 tests and say, well, I taught you in between, so now you're better at test number 2. Where I would say, okay, you're not better at test number 2. Why? What happened? What happened with your system in between? Is it changing actually? Maybe your
Mm-hmm.
system is changing and overcompensating something. But I understand that if you want to see progress,
Mm-hmm.
then there must be a way to measure it. So, what I used to say to my students is let's pick one particular thing. For example, let's take present continuous. Dutch children tend to overuse present continuous everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that they would use verb plus ing and with the auxiliary be. So I am living. And they would use am living, am doing everywhere. So I would
Yeah.
say, right, I'm going to explain to you now where you use present continuous. You write it down, and then you write something for me. And that's going to be our measure, our starting point. And then you're going to write lots and lots of different things, and I'm going to give you feedback, or you're going to use a computer program to give you feedback. And every time you're going to count the number of instances of that present continuous and check whether you've done it correctly. And it takes a lot of time because you need to put effort into your change, right? Because we're doing it with grammar, and grammar is not, of course, the way you should teach language in the first place. But okay, it's a good example to show how you can do this. So the student then needs to put effort into understanding and learning about present continuous. Where do we use it? Why don't I use present continuous here? What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? Is this correct? Is that correct? And then you get this variability in lots of present continuous use to no present continuous use because they're overcompensating all the time. And hopefully at some point, the system regarding present continuous use will, with the right amount of exposure, so we need to have exposure. We need to give them exposure. He or she needs to listen to Netflix or podcasts or your podcast and listen. Okay, is he using present continuous? Present continuous. Yeah, present. Right. And then hopefully the brain will automatically deduct and find out why present continuous is used. And then after some lots and lots of feedback rounds, hopefully present continuous will settle in and the system will adapt to a new state in which present continuous is now part of the person's language system. So yeah, it's very difficult to measure, but with a close eye and focus, I think you can get there. You can get there, and you can show progress because the progress is not in okay, I have 5 mistakes here and no mistakes here. The progress is in between. What have you done to improve? And maybe your test won't improve, but your language system will improve because you've spent so much time looking at this element that you will improve.
Yes, yes. That was kind of mean because measurability of let's say learning development initiatives, it's a problem, because they are the quantitative results, that you can easily put on a spreadsheet, and then there are the qualitative results, which are sometimes much more important, and that doesn't allow itself to be measured so easily anywhere. But I was just interested to know how you did it because, I also have to persuade, as I call myself an independent podcast, independent trainer, and sometimes I have to go out there and acquire clients. And, there's some people who are more persuaded by the quantitative ways. They want to do lots of grammar, lots of check boxes. They want to be able to say, well, we've done 10 grammar concepts in I don't know 3 months, and then they can check that off and feel good. And then there are others who want to be able to bargain at a flea market in English.
Yeah.
And it's always a matter of sensing what they prefer and then trying to frame it in such a way that they themselves can also recognize progress, not only in the topics that you deliver, but in their learning.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Kingman. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to my proper English.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
All right.
There goes the third.
You know what? I love it. I love it this way. The melody of the language, that's what the Poetry series is all about. I'm totally geflashed right now from what you did. It was impro, and I just want to say thank you again. I want to say
My
thank
pleasure.
you to you. I want to say thank you to Easy and OMG Business Jamaica. Yeah, just check it out on Instagram.
Jamaica.
I love what those guys are doing. And big love, as I say, from Berlin. And big love to you as well. And I really hope this is my Jamaican coming out again. I can't hold it back, yeah? So
Hey, you can take the boy out of Jamaica, but you cannot take Jamaica out of the boy.
no, you can't take it out at all. You know. This is my stage. This is my Jamaica stage. So I mean, if you wanna hear, if you wanna know what it's like, this is it. Yeah. All right. So, King Man, again,
Yeah,
big love.
man, my pleasure.
Be sure to check out the links in the show notes to further works of Abelang.
Shake it like a salt shaker.
Booty, 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 booty. Come on, anything you have, man. Let's ruin it, man. Anything you have.
Booty, 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 booty.
Anything you have. Yo, man, anything you have.
I-
You done out, you done out.
Keep it playing, keep it playing.
Yo, man. Hold on.